The year just past was cloven. There were a raft of stories of the deepest seriousness and consequence. Then there were the others. I may best describe the division as such. One set of stories said the world was doomed. The other, surely, that it deserved to be. We had the deranged soap opera of America's #1 sitcom star, Charlie Sheen, going on his Torpedo of Truth tour to show the rest of us just how strange and weird it is to be Charlie Sheen. Some say it took their minds off global warming. Others argued it might be the cause. We had Oprah this year, she who gave the world Dr. Phil, for which there can be no forgiveness. Oprah retired from standard TV and now has her own channel. You could think of it as a form of benign quarantine. The world, between fits of Bieber and Gaga, also followed poor Lindsay Lohan in her various travails. The latter went from community service in a morgue to the cover of Playboy. Not as great a distance as some would think.
Guilty of the crime.
Michael Jackson's doctor was on interminable trial. One of the Republican candidates, a pizza tycoon, Herman Cain, had more allegations racked up against him for sexual harassment than Bill Clinton in his prime. Cain just wasn't as able to deflect from them as the randy semanticist. Finally, the Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi's carnal antics with high-priced call girls answered the question of our day. What would the world look like if Charlie Sheen took his Torpedo of Truth and entered politics? Well, maybe that's the kind of stuff we needed to distract us from the heavier messages. The world began 2011 shrouded in anxiety and gloom about its economy. And as 2011 approaches its turning point, things are, if anything, even more gloomy. Europe has been in extended turmoil for months, with successive countries crying for bailouts. Riots in Greece, Italy, and Spain. Great Britain is showing signs of walking away from the entire European project. The U.S. is piling up deficits and debts that mankind quite literally has never seen before. Trillion is the new billion. China is reckoned to be on a bubble itself, and there are only a few places, Canada being one, that have a sense of being spared the worst for now and perhaps shielded from whatever darkness may be coming our way next year. It was, too, in many ways, a milestone year. The U.S. just days ago officially ended its campaign in Iraq during the 10th anniversary year of the Twin Tower attacks. It's a muted end, for now, to what was an extremely contentious campaign from the very beginning. Meantime, Canada announced the end of its combat mission in Afghanistan. Domestically, both drawdowns are popular, though it's far from certain Iraq has the strength and political coherence to avoid violence, and Afghanistan's future, free of repression and the Taliban, is far, far from settled.
Bravo! Bravo with me! Let's go! We're going to find a way over!
The Arab world, Egypt, Syria, Yemen, was roiled by protest and repression. The Syrian regime has slaughtered an estimated 5,000 of its citizens. Egypt, though it deposed Mubarak, remains turbulent at year's end. Libya's Muammar Gaddafi brought ruin on himself by his defiance of world opinion and for threatening the lives of Libyan citizens. A coalition of which Canada was a party and a Canadian general the head brought an end to his rule. The rebels they supported brought an end to his life. And what was very likely the most intense, largest, and expensive manhunt in human history ended this year with a SEAL raid on a compound in Pakistan and the execution of one of the great mass murderers of this or any other time, Osama bin Laden, from cave to compound to forgotten dust. We were reminded, too, in 2011 that nature is not all songbirds and sunsets. Its devastations are almost immeasurable. Japan endured a great natural disaster, a tsunami that ripped through that island country. Japanese authorities said it was by far the worst calamity since the Second World War, its toughest and deepest crisis. Here in Canada, we had a story that mixed elements of tragedy and triumph. NDP leader Jack Layton, coming out of treatment for cancer, took on a full election campaign. He crisscrossed the country with energy and passion. The result, the NDP's biggest win ever. But very shortly after, there was a second bout of illness, and Mr. Layton died. A great wave of national grief showed the regard he was held in.
And friends, I have to say it, a strong, stable, national majority Conservative government.
The election was also a milestone for Stephen Harper, finally winning his majority. For the Liberals, it was devastation. They plummeted to third place in the Commons. Their leader, Ignatieff, lost his seat and instantly left the game. He left Canadian public life more abruptly and completely than he entered it. The Liberal Party lost a lot of ground, but an even more venerable institution may have taken some back. The British monarchy staunched its decline with that perennial winner, a royal wedding. The young couple then showed perfect taste by, in effect, choosing this country, Canada, as its honeymoon site. The young pair, particularly Kate, as she has become known, won the attention and affection of even die-hard anti-monarchists. Vancouver had a disgusting riot over nothing but a hockey game. The police there took forever to get around to laying even a single charge. There was also here in Canada a copy of the Occupy Wall Street movement of the U.S. It was a mix of idealism, directionless protest, and eventually something of a mess as well. By year's end, it led only a stammering existence in a few cities. 2011 ended with the passing of two who have left their mark on the times and in their separate ways remind us always of freedom and debate. A great and tireless polemicist, Christopher Hitchens, and a man who was an ornament to elegance and reason in politics, the playwright-statesman Václav Havel. And right at year's end, the world waved an eager goodbye to one who specialized in manufacturing hell on earth, the last of the totalitarian communist dictators, Kim Jong-il. As 2012 beckons, despite the roiling waters of international finance, Canada remains more composed, less exposed than most countries. Our parliament is not elegant. Question period is more naked lunch these days than Jane Austen, but who expects otherwise? And oh yes, in 2011, they found a particle that might be faster than the speed of light. That would be me, fleeing whatever movie James Cameron has yet to make. For The National, I'm Rex Murphy.